morning, guys. Happy Thursday. It's early, 8 o'clock in the morning. That's really early for me. The reason I'm going to my rheumatology appointment, and the reason I'm having to get her, well, it's at 9:15, but I have to go to the old rheumatologist first office to get my medical records. They are ready. I was supposed to pick them up yesterday, but like I said in the last night, I forgot. So that's where I'm heading currently. I was supposed to do lab work, but it was too late to wait to not to eat, so I just rescheduled it for Wednesday at like 9 or 10. So I'm craving Chick-fil-A like really, really, really bad. And hopefully if I can get over here with school traffic, that I can get Chick-fil-A before I have to go to the doctor. Maybe it'll be after, I don't know. Everybody in the house is asleep, of course. But yeah, so just wanted to pop on and I'll just see what today holds when it comes to this appointment. All right, guys. So sorry about that. So I just got my medical records. First, I went in and I was like, they were ready, and I get all the way back to the car and I look and I was like, these are only labs. So I had to go back in. Then the lady was like, we can't even find notes in the system. She was having a hard time going into the old system to find the notes. And she was like, well, I just know she did things a whole lot different. And a lot of stuff was like read only, but they couldn't access it. And she was like trying. And then finally she just went and got the office manager. And they finally found the records. Because, y'all, I was getting 38 hot. And, but apparently she still never like did like normal, I guess, things that most doctors do. So, I found the records. I found where I had my positive labs, positive antiphospholipid, all of that's in the note. Praise the Lord. And at the time when I first started seeing her, because I had been suffering for like 2 years, but she was like, she diagnosed it as mild at that point, which of course these records are only 2014. I ended up going on oxygen, but she was in her new place at that point. So those records the doctor should have when it went from mild to not so mild. I'm just really tired. It is raining so bad. So let me get off of here so I can do my GPS and I'll come back.
Cheryl, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks. So what's the news? How you doing?
Not too spiffy.
What's not good?
You took me completely off of Excel stuff, and
Yeah.
I had a horrible time.
In what way? What's happening?
The increased mouth sores, genital sores, the sores on my head. I did see my dermatologist, and he did a bunch of labs checking me for Behçet's and some other things, and he mentioned Humira may be a good treatment option, but I don't see him until the end of next week.
Who's that?
Dr.
Okay. So you were here November 29th. That's 3 weeks ago. Okay. Now, so when did you start having problems again?
Really, I haven't stopped, but then when you have to, it made it worse. And then when you stopped it completely, like, I've literally been confined to bed a lot.
Because you've had, what symptoms and problems have you had now? Increasing
The
what?
joint pain, the swelling. I've had some fevers. the mouth sores,
Okay.
vaginal,
Which joints hurting?
like my knees,
Knees?
wrists, fingers are swelling. My ankles hurt really bad.
And which ones swell?
My hands, my fingers.
Are they swollen today?
Not as much. I can get my ring off somewhat.
Okay,
So.
and I'll come examine those today. And so more joint pain and swelling, and then the other symptoms
Increased
were
fatigue, nausea. My breathing is not spiffy. Right? I mean, I've been.
And where are the ulcers that you've had?
They've been in my mouth and my vaginal area.
Okay, do you have them today? None today. And do you have any in your mouth?
I don't think so.
Okay, so none today.
Not visible.
So you saw the dermatologist who did, what did he do?
A whole lot of labs. I've got a copy of the order. Sorry.
Did he do a biopsy?
He did do, because I have, the sores are getting like pus pockets.
Okay.
You can see the scars on here.
Yeah.
But he biopsied one that was right there.
Okay.
So I'll get those results at that time too.
Okay.
It was a lot of labs that I really had never heard of. I thought I had the paper, I'm sorry. I had to get almost 30 mLs of blood. So,
To have a test, I'd love to see
all
what
the-
they outlook.
yeah, it was a lot. So as soon as
So
I...
he did labs and he biopsied that skin over your right forehead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I thought I had it. And
So where'd you go for the blood work?
Baptist. Sorry.
And you're to see him again when?
I think next Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so more fatigue, joint pain, swelling, mouth ulcers, vaginal ulcers.
Had some fevers a couple days.
Did you take it with a thermometer?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was only like 99.6.
Okay.
It never reached 100.
Okay. A few more questions. How's your energy? You say it's pretty low.
Pretty bad.
And your weight is exactly what it was before. Are you having headaches?
Yeah, migraines are back.
How about eyes? Redness or pain of your eyes?
Redness. This one continues a lot to get bloodshot, but it's like right after, like when I have a bad headache. So I don't know if the two are related, but the dry eyes.
Okay, and any pain in your chest or shortness of breath?
Shortness of breath.
Any pain?
It hurts when times when I'm taking a deep breath.
Okay. Deep breath may hurt.
Yeah. And butterfly rash has been pretty intense.
Is it there today?
I don't think so. I haven't even looked. Just
I don't
like
see
got
it.
up and go.
Yeah, okay.
It's like after about a good 20, 30 minutes of trying to do anything at home, I'm just like completely drained.
Okay.
Have to lay down, then try to
What do you do? Are you working or not working?
Stop me from working.
Who did?
Between Dr. So I'm on disability.
Okay.
Right.
Which doctor? Okay. How are you sleeping at night?
It's better. I wake up, with the pain sometimes, but I switched to the medical marijuana, so it's.
Does it help?
I have the oil, the tincture oil for night, and finally in the last couple
So you
days.
get a better night's sleep
now.
if you take it, and then so you feel okay when you get up in the morning.
No, not necessarily.
How do you feel when you get up in the morning?
Extremely stiff. Still having a lot of GI issues.
Like what?
Like severe stomach cramping, diarrhea. That's like every day.
Okay. Any blood?
Occasional blood in my stool.
Have you had a colonoscopy before?
Yeah, my last one was like 2 months ago, I think. So.
Okay. So are the GI symptoms present in the morning when you get up?
seen it because like when I eat, I end up getting like work out into a cold sweat. I get nauseated, feel like I'm gonna pass out. I don't know what that's about.
Okay. So you see Dr. Wiles, your lungs. Hilton is the head. Okay, so may I look it over today?
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm gonna do is this.
Okay.
So let me know if it hurts. Is that okay?
It's just sore.
So you don't do any exercise?
I was
Movement?
walking at one point, but when I would get in flares, like then I would get off track and not
Does this hurt?
get to do it. It's just really sore.
Do you have any other scalp abnormalities?
Yeah.
Show me where.
Okay. I can feel it right here.
Can I put my hand there?
That area, like right in there.
Alright.
It's a lot of those all over. And
Do you have any bald patches?
It's not, but it's just
No.
completely shedding. So it's
Look up. Open your mouth. Head back. Okay. Do these hurt right in here?
a little bit.
And what about in here?
It's sore. Like my whole body. Like I just feel like my
You're
insides
sore all
are
over.
inflamed.
Yeah. Let me have this like in here. Are you tender out in here?
Does
that hurt?
all over.
Does that hurt when I
Yeah.
press? And do you hurt down in here?
Mm-hmm.
And here? Okay. And up here?
It's
Don't
really
that
sore.
hurt?
Yeah.
And here?
Yeah. It just feels like someone, you got punched or something the
Yeah.
day after.
Well, on the 12th, which was after we stopped the mycophenolate, we did a lot of lab work, and from the standpoint of lupus, it all came back fine.
Okay.
In fact, let me just show you what I did. This is a metabolic profile. Blood sugar was 109. Didn't have to be fasting. Kidney function was okay. Proteins in the blood okay. No evidence of inflammation. Liver's okay. This is your CBC. It's all normal. No anemia. And then other tests that we ran include an inflammation blood test called a sedimentation rate. It was normal. And the ANA screen, which screens for lupus, came out negative this time. It had been low positive but back in October, but this time it tested negative. So it's hovering somewhere, either negative or just very low. But this is a very reliable way to do the blood test. And these are other ways. Now that's a different sedimentation. This was back in November.
Okay.
These were other ways of looking at inflammation, and high is okay, and it's really not high. I don't want it to be low.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you this, I don't know what the problem is. And I think we ought to wait and see what the dermatologist says about this biopsy, and I'd like to see the blood test that he did. I certainly don't want to put you back on mycophenolate. I don't have a justification for that.
So, is it not possible that sometimes your lupus kind of just goes like a little dormant, but it's still there? Because I remember you saying that you couldn't find it in her notes, Dr. Brown, but I had went, but I guess you guys already had this, to show like, okay, well, what was her rhyme or reason for saying what she did?
Yeah.
And my symptoms line up, so I guess I'm kind of confused.
Okay.
with
I see there's
everything.
reason for confusion. When I read her notes, I couldn't tell how she justified putting you on the mycophenolate.
Okay.
And I can't justify keeping you on it. It's a potentially dangerous medication. I think we just have to leave you off and see if we had come up with another diagnosis. I don't know that Behçet's is overly likely. There's not a blood test for Behçet's, but biopsies can be helpful. But that's a diagnosis that's not always arrived at without watching over time.
Okay.
Now, you do have symptoms and physical findings, in my opinion, of what we call fibromyalgia, which is all this tenderness and fatigue, not having energy to exercise, and so on. And that can be a significant problem. Sometimes responds to exercise, activity, and to antidepressant medication. age. Have you been on antidepressants before?
I
You're
did
not now.
Cymbalta a long time ago, but I didn't, and I gained weight. And
Well, the other treatments for that for fibromyalgia pain would be gabapentin. If you had, and what does it do?
Same thing, increase weight. I just didn't like it didn't like help with the symptoms.
Yeah. Have you been on any antidepressants other than Cymbalta?
I want to say it was just Cymbalta and gabapentin for the neuropathy and stuff.
Well, and have you ever been on any other sleep medicines like trazodone, amitriptyline?
I did an amitriptyline, but that was stopped a few months ago because it would give me like kidney pain.
Okay. Well, from a medicine standpoint, if you've had this much trouble with different medications, I don't know that I have any others to suggest right now, but I do recommend, I think it's wisest to arrive as accurate a diagnosis as we can. And to your answer about does lupus sometimes go dormant, sure it does, but if it's dormant and I can't find it with blood or with symptoms or physical findings, then I certainly think mycophenolate is pretty aggressive. Did she ever treat you with Plaquenil?
Yeah, that's the one that I had a lot of GI issues and lost like 70 pounds in 3 months.
Okay.
So she pulled me off of that one.
Okay.
And then I was only doing Benlysta by itself, but it wasn't controlling it. And so then she's like, hey, let's add the cells up. And that's how I ended up.
Well, I'm happy to continue to follow and see what happens and see if this turns into what looks more like lupus, but I just don't see it right now.
Wow.
So my advice is let me request Dr. Phillips' records and his lab test, and let's plan to meet again in 2 months, 3 months.
Okay.
And if he arrives at some diagnosis, fine.
Yeah.
I have been in a situation before where I have arrived at or continued treatment for a diagnosis that required some strong medications, and it turned out to be something entirely different that was almost life-threatening. Now, I'm not suggesting you got that, but I think accurate diagnosis, insofar as we can, is key, particularly if it requires medication that can put you at risk of having.
I guess I'm just frustrated of 4 years of being on treatments and infusions, and
I don't blame you in the least.
so it's just disheartening.
So you weren't really well even on all that. So I'm not going to layer anything stronger that would put you at more risk of having a problem. But I certainly think that even though you don't feel like it, movement, exercise, get up, move around, go to the mall, walk on a track when it's not raining, do toe touches, stretches. Those things are important.
Okay.
All right, and I'll see you back in 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. Thank
If you wait here, the nurse will check you out.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You too.